Stegland, and I have the pleasure to leading a team back in Gothenburg which are developing the electrical vehicle for Volvo. When we start off, of course, to look into what is guiding us for the future, we have to look into a number of issues. CO2 has been on the plate for quite some time. It's obvious that there are different opinions about how difficult or dangerous this is, but there have been taken some steps in various parts of the world to define routes forward. The environmental impact can be discussed, and it will be a theme for the next probably 50 years. We also have to look into the security issue, which was addressed here before, and not lately the trade balance issues, meaning that the energy dollars spent, should they end up outside the country or inside the country. If you look into Europe, what is happening there? Well, it's ever clear that the European Commission has taken quite a clear stand on that the automotive industry have to change. The change means that there are targets given to us, and this will call off a kind of a revolution within the automotive in all the new technologies we have to develop. There is a target for 2012, and it says 130 grams CO2 per kilometer, and that means in reality a fuel consumption as an average of a car park sold in Europe of 44 miles per gallon. If you then look into 2020, then the target is much tougher. Then we talk about 95 grams. And that means that the average fuel consumption in the car park sold in Europe should be 59 miles per gallon. This is, of course, a huge technical challenge for us. And there's a lot of technologies available, but we have decided to concentrate upon a few. We now have a number of drivelines in Europe where we are applying start-stop technologies. We are also launching in the end of 2012 a beautiful plug-in hybrid. We are very much working with the C30 electric, and we'll actually start a low-volume production within a few weeks. And we also look into opportunities of range extenders in combination with an electrical vehicle. So the possibilities are there, and the question is, how have we been thinking in order to design this car? What kind of principles have been leading us in order to come up to a vehicle delivering no compromises and also being the safest car in the world? First of all, how and why should you use an electrical vehicle? Well, it always comes back to the way you are living. And the funny thing with people is that most of the time you're more predictable than you actually think you are. So the issue of having this total freedom of acting, ad hoc on things and want to have the possibility to go anywhere, how many times does that happen per year? That's a good question. So we started to look into the typical habits of people, and we noticed very quickly that by having a car that would reach about 70 miles per day, we will cover 90% of the commuting needs in the world. And is that good enough? Well, think about yourself. You are working, all of you most likely, and you are spending very much time at your work. I would say that 320 days out of 360 you are going back and forth to the office unless you're driving or a salesman somewhere. This commuting can be done in an electrical vehicle emitting zero CO2. That would be a huge benefit for the planet. From an engineering point of view, we have put in a battery of 24 kilowatt hours that would give this a range with some pluses. And when you have this, can you actually charge it? Can you do it in 5 minutes? No. In this car, we have an onboard charger that will fix it overnight, or when it's parked at your office, if the infrastructure is there. We're also looking into, of course, fast charging possibilities that will, with relatively, let's say from an economical point of view, reasonable load, will take us to a charging time of 2 hours. And that's a very good approach. Another guiding principle is that when we are going to deliver a car on the marketplace, an electric vehicle, everyone knows that this vehicle will unfortunately in the beginning be more expensive. A customer coming to us wanting a Volvo, he would never accept a compromise in anything. So that means that we have to build in all the conveniences, all the features, all the properties in the car that a Volvo customer would expect from us. And that is what we have been guiding us when we develop this car. We have done this car in order to bring the competence in-house on how to develop electric vehicles and be prepared for when the market takes off. All the knowledge gained in this 25 months will be extremely helpful and valuable for the company when we take the next step. And this is the main target of this car. We will also roll out a number of volumes out in Europe and the United States, China and Japan. We took a car, C30, a car which we know very well. We all know the qualities of this car. And instead of designing a completely new vehicle, we started with the tough things, meaning electrification. And how can we build that into a car and make it work in a fantastic way? The car, as a standard car, has 4 seats. It has a luggage compartment, of course. Nowhere there's a battery in the interior whatsoever, because it should be outside the car for many reasons. It has an electrical 84 kilowatt motor, and it gives a good performance. It's very, very nice to drive. It's very quick and agile. So 0 to 65 miles per hour in 9.5 seconds. We have certified the car for 100 miles of range according to the new European driving cycle. But that's a very synthetic approach. So we say to our customers, practical driving range will be 80 to 90 because you will be using your air conditioner. You will play Bruce Springsteen and you will work from the car. The top speed is 90 miles per hour and it's capped electronically. So it says 100 here, but in reality it's 190. When you open the hood, you will not recognize anything. Nothing. If you're very good, you will find 2 things. That is the 12-volt battery sitting to the right, and there's also a small canister for the cooling fluid of the various electrical systems. But that's all. The rest is brand new, and it's made of components which has never been produced in any larger series in the world. You know, the automotive world is like you have the cost per unit and the volume, and automotive is normally here, below. This is the cost target we have on all the things today. Electrical vehicles start up there, and that is why it's so important that we merge our thinking in terms of how to get them on the roads, by incentives, by support, by creative people and good business models. As I said, when you open the hood, nothing is there. When you go even further into the car, you will recognize hardly anything. There's so much new stuff. But the most important thing, except for the driveline in the front and all the power electronics, is of course the batteries in the tunnel section and between the rear wheels. One small complication with electric vehicles is that you have to start to work with different voltage. You have the normal 12 volt as always, but now suddenly you have between 110 to 240 volts for charging. And on top of that, you have a high voltage system which comes from the battery, 400 volts. This will call for a number of thinking in terms of safety issues, and I will come back to that. In the front, we have a very advanced permanent magnet motor with a hollow shaft. So it's very compact, and we have differential and reduction gear on the side. This motor is water cooled, of course, but the most important thing here is that it delivers the performance which you want to have. There's one other issue here. This motor is so much smaller and much lighter than a normal petrol engine. And that, from a crash point of view, actually gives us some more hiccups. Because the energy will not be absorbed the way we are used to, and on top of that we have a battery behind us weighing 280 kilos, which you also need to absorb from an energy point of view. So that meant that we had to design and redesign the front structure in order to take care of the new issues. So taking a normal car, just put in an electric vehicle will not do. You have to do more things in order to be safe.